On your own platform. He said this on your platform that he put up $1 million to get Pac here.
Yeah, correct. He was around Puffy and Puffy made a comment.
Stop letting these people use you, man. You didn't want to be pushing death row, you was on death row. That's not neither here nor there.
We're living in the aftermath of an earthquake that's been shaking for almost 30 years. And now the ground is splitting open beneath us. Picture this. 28 years after Tupac Shakur's violent and headline-grabbing death on the Las Vegas Strip. His own brother, Mopim Shakur, has stepped forward. But not as a grieving family member searching for closure. Instead, he's acting as a whistleblower on a mission. With the hip-hop world already standing on shaky ground, Mopim's new claims land like an alarm in the night. He's not quietly mourning. He's ready to challenge the so-called truth, throwing accusations at one of the industry's most powerful figures. Years ago, Mopim told Diddy on the phone, "We're going to see," almost as if he predicted this very moment. And now, everything we thought we knew about Tupac's fate is being called into question.
The boy Puffy called me though. Puffy called me back in the day. He called me, he was like, "I just want you to know I ain't have nothing to do with your brother's
The story we've been told, the clean-cut version of a drive-by shooting, a feud between rival labels, and a bullet-ridden BMW, never quite added up. Now, Mopim's voice is breaking through, casting new doubt on Diddy's long-standing denials. Mopim describes himself as a man haunted by the cracks in the official story, by the phone calls that never stopped, the rumors that wouldn't fade, and the sudden power shift in the music industry after Tupac's supposed death. He doesn't directly call Diddy guilty, but he doesn't clear him either. The suspicion lingers, heavy and unsettling, like the smell of a crime scene never cleaned. And Mopim's doubts are spreading fast. "I don't believe it was a 100% honest statement," he says of Diddy's past denials. With that, the internet explodes. This is no longer just East Coast versus West Coast. Now it's about who's hiding the truth, and who's being paid to stay silent. The timing couldn't be more explosive. Diddy, once the untouchable mogul, is already behind bars. Not for Tupac's death, but for a string of scandals involving trafficking and coercion. Prosecutors are preparing a trial that could lock him away for life. And then comes the real bombshell. Federal agents raided Diddy's properties, digging through his carefully crafted empire, and uncovered what insiders are calling the Cuba Files. These aren't just dusty bank records or random scandal notes. The files are said to contain documents suggesting the ultimate twist. Tupac didn't die in Las Vegas. Instead, he escaped with help from powerful figures and built a new life outside the US. This isn't about vague fan theories or doctored photos anymore. These are hard drives and files seized by federal agents, the same authorities now holding Diddy's future in their hands.
So let's talk about it, man. So you feel like it was bigger than Orlando shooter Pac. You feel like it's more to the story. You don't think it was that simple?
I feel like it's bigger.
If the Cuba Files are real, their impact could be massive. It's one thing for fans to trade theories in chat rooms or barbershops, but it's another to imagine law enforcement going through documents that suggest rap's greatest loss may have been a staged disappearance. Mopim practically dares the world to question the official story. Rumors swirl of private jets, swapped bodies, paid-off hospital staff, and even the involvement of the Black Panther Network, a group deeply tied to Shakur's own family, written into the escape plan. And then there's Michael Nice, the former security officer who claimed he personally helped Tupac flee the US for a Caribbean hideout. He promised to show proof. Instead, he conveniently disappeared from the picture before he could deliver. But in this story, proof is always just out of reach. One phone call away, one mysterious accident away, or one missing hard drive away from being lost forever.
I mean, that's Puffy's homie. You know what I mean? They have a relationship. They're friendly. They know each other.
Now comes the first major rumor that ties all the threads into a single noose. Diddy's alleged secret deal with Suge Knight. On the surface, the feud between Bad Boy Records and Death Row looked real enough. Shootouts, diss tracks, magazine covers splashed with blood-soaked headlines. It was tabloid gold. But what if that animosity was as staged as pro wrestling? A few veteran insiders, none willing to speak on record, claim there were quiet back-channel talks between the two camps, enough to make the official timeline look suspicious. And here's what makes it worse. Suge Knight, the man who was supposed to be Tupac's shield, was sitting right beside him in that BMW. Suge walked away with barely a scratch, while the shooter's aim was precise enough to silence only one voice forever. If this really was a setup, it wasn't just a hit. It was a masterpiece of betrayal.
Was the incentive just revenge, or was the incentive for that supposed money that Puffy supposedly put up?
Here's where the story sinks into even darker territory. The missing witness conspiracy. As Diddy's world collapses, his current trial is spiraling into chaos after the sudden disappearance of a key witness, known only as Victim 3. Prosecutors once promised her testimony would expose shocking details about Diddy's alleged abuses. But now, in open court, they admit they can't find her. No phone calls answered. No lawyer speaking for her. Nothing but silence where there should have been an explosion. So what happened? Is she hiding? Was she bought off? Or, in the darkest possibility, was she helped to disappear? Prosecutors don't even know if she'll ever resurface. That uncertainty doesn't just weaken their case against Diddy. It fuels suspicion that anyone who gets too close to the truth about him, about Tupac, or about the tangled web of 1990s hip-hop might simply vanish. All of this unfolds against the backdrop of a trial so toxic, commentators are comparing it to the worst scandals in recent history. Prosecutors say they'll present jurors with seized footage from Diddy's infamous freak-off parties, rows of lubricant bottles, and evidence of intimidation campaigns stretching back years. The mogul now faces the very real possibility of life in prison. Yet even as these lurid details dominate the courtroom, the headlines keep circling back to that bloody Las Vegas intersection. Why? Because the star witness in the Tupac case, Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, has openly accused Diddy of putting $1 million hit on Shocker's head, an allegation delivered in circumstances that would make even a mob boss sweat.
Prosecutors aren't sure she'll ever surface again.
A detective asked him. Keefe's answer was chillingly simple. Yeah, tape exists. The confession, the names, the timeline, all there. Enough motive to shake the industry to its core. And yet, somehow, whenever the noose tightens, someone always seems to wriggle free.
I ain't no cop. I ain't no lawyer. I watch Law and Order. You know what I'm saying? And the way this is going, it looks like a certain type of thing is going down.
The question that refuses to fade is the same one Mopim Shakur once put to Diddy years ago. We're going to see. Every time it seems the truth is within reach, the case twists again. Witnesses vanish. Evidence disappears behind locked doors. Old rumors return. And then a new lead emerges. One that even suggests Tupac's mother may not have been speaking in metaphor when she said her son chose to leave quietly. Could it really be possible that a megastar at the peak of his fame faked his death, vanished, and was later glimpsed in a Havana bar or a Belize nightclub? The so-called Machiavelli theory, named after the Italian philosopher who wrote about faking one's death to outwit enemies, still shadows every internet rabbit hole. Fans point to the 7 posthumous albums, the cryptic liner notes, even alleged inconsistencies in the autopsy report. And if the whispers are true, Suge Knight himself once told reporters, "You know he's somewhere smoking a Cuban cigar on an island." If so, then the punchline to the greatest unsolved drama in music history may not be in the past at all. It may still be waiting, ready for an encore.
What's been happening? First of all, like everybody knows, the time period, 27 years.
But what if the Cuba Files prove everything? What if the private security payments and hospital bribes are real? What if body doubles and private pilots helped stage the most shocking exit since Elvis? If so, it would change everything about that era of hip-hop. Every friendship, every feud, every dollar made or lost back then would need to be re-examined. Diddy, the mogul who rose from tragedy to become hip-hop's kingmaker, could be recast not as a survivor but as a master strategist. Or simply the last man left holding the bag. And the situation gets even darker. This is now a federal case where even the authorities can't promise their witnesses safety. With a million questions in the air, the industry feels like someone is pulling the strings from the shadows. Mopim Shocker's refusal to let the story die. His willingness to point back at the powerful keeps the wounds open. Each new leak, each seized file, each missing witness is another tremor that could bring the whole structure down. We aren't just hunting for who silenced Tupac. We're facing the possibility that he might have been watching all along, one step ahead, waiting to see if the world is finally ready to hear the real story.
I feel mad still that my brother, first of all, that's
the stakes have never been higher. The so-called Cuba Files, pulled from vaults inside Diddy's own compounds, have pushed this saga into nuclear territory. For all we know, they could be nothing more than smoke and mirrors, a desperate move by a mogul trying to hold on to power. But what if they're real? What if investigators truly uncovered escape plans or detailed records of hush money paid to the right people at the wrong times? In a story where truth has always been the most dangerous weapon, the existence of these files is a threat in itself. One industry veteran claims that among the digital evidence are spreadsheets tracking massive secret payments, amounts too big to dismiss. The names are either blacked out or buried behind shell companies with ties not only to the music industry but also to political players from the 1990s. The implication is chilling. If these files make it into a courtroom, no one at the top is untouchable.
But I'm still a little suspicious about the timing and how it's all rolled out here.
In the end, the Shakur mystery isn't just about one man's fate. It's about an empire built on secrets, power, and the shadows that still stretch across the industry. Every new leak, every missing witness, every seized file pushes us closer to the breaking point. The question is no longer whether the truth exists. It's whether the world is ready to face it. Stay tuned because the next chapter could rewrite everything we thought we knew.